The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Print Color Control using the SpectroDens. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chelsea Conrad and I'll be your presenter today. I have Bob Burns with me, our Technical Sales Director, who will be assisting with this presentation. Throughout our presentation, we encourage you to interact by typing in questions and comments using the question pane on the right hand of your screen. We'll be answering questions live, both during the event and after the presentation. I'm just going to wait a few minutes to give everyone some time to log on. All right, well, it looks like we're all here, so we're going to get started. Briefly, for those of you who are not familiar with TechCon, we were established about 30 years ago in Königstein, Germany. We manufacture handheld and scanning spectrophotometers for the commercial print and packaging industry. Our unique color measurement solutions serve a wide range of customers in commercial, corporate and package printing facilities, and ink manufacturers. Our handheld devices provide the perfect entry point into easy-to-use, precise color control. Our high-end scanning devices have led to successful implementations by leading OEM press manufacturers and large commercial printers, yielding dramatic gains in quality, productivity, and cost savings. TechCon's entire product line is recognized by leading industry organizations, and its products are positioned as the color measurement tools of choice for printers around the world. Now we're going to dive into the SpectroDens presentation. The SpectroDens is a handheld SpectroDensitometer featuring a long life, stable LED light source, very fast measurement times, ergonomic design, and it even has wheels for scanning up to 54 patch color bars. The LED light source supports the ISO 13655 measuring condition standards M0 through M3 to account for traditional and today's optically brightened papers. Here I have a short video for all of you on the SpectroDens, which shows an overview of the instrument. Just want to let everyone know there is no sound on this video, though. All right, well now that we have a visual understanding of the unit, I think we should dive into the top 10 functions. The first function of the SpectroDens that I'm going to cover is automatic density feature. When taking a measurement in automatic density mode, the SpectroDens automatically recognizes the color of the patch and displays the density value of that color being measured. When a second color is measured, the value of the previous measurement is memorized and shown in the display. When the measurements are completed, all 4 color density values are displayed. When another measurement is taken of an already measured color, it will overwrite the previous value on the display. Here in the second image, the delta D value is displayed. Right here where my cursor is, I hope you can all see me. The sample value is checked against the reference value, and it displays the density difference. Here we can see that for black, we are aiming for a density of 1.75. But our sample measurement has a density of 1.54. This function shows us that our density is off by 0.21. Now I'm going to give the floor to Bob, who's going to talk to you guys a little bit about the density CMYK feature.
Thanks, Chelsea. The density CMYK feature displays a color sample's density value in terms of cyan, magenta, yellow, and black process colors. But one of the key advantages of the density CMYK feature is the unique ability to provide a true maximum density measurement of a spot color. Most other densitometers measure spot color densities, but treat them as if they are process colors. Since spot colors are not comprised of process colors, the density measurements results, therefore, are not accurate. The density CMYK feature enables users to accurately measure both CMYK process and spot color densities in one measurement.
Bob, before moving forward, it looks like we have a question here, and it says, how do I establish aim values for spot colors?
Aim color reference values are established in a number of ways. One, they're established by the customer. Industry color standards. Oftentimes, they can be established by measuring a customer-approved proof or an ink drawdown, or just by manually typing in the actual color LAB value.
Great.
So the next feature, which I actually really like, is the Espresso Mini. Now, Espresso Mini allows the user to rapidly measure 10 individual solid ink densities per color across an entire press sheet. The measurement results for each color are displayed individually in their own window, both graphically and numerically. Now, as you can see, I switched from measuring cyan to magenta. When I returned to measuring cyan patches, the SpectroDens remembered the previous cyan measurements and just continued from where it left off. When I turn the delta mode on, it displays how far the measured values are from the target aim values and quantifies that both graphically and numerically. After the first 10 readings, the readings after that first 10 readings are replaced by each additional measurement.
The next function we're going to discuss is C-Lab mode. C-Lab mode is used to take colorimetric measurements in accordance to customer-specified ISO or other industry color standards and shows the delta E value describing the color difference between two colors. LAB values describe a color by lightness, hue, and chroma based on the LAB color space model. The operator measures a color target to obtain a reference value, then measures the corresponding color sample value. With delta mode turned on, the delta E between the reference and sample color is displayed. A small delta E of 1 or less difference being virtually invisible, and a high delta E of 6 or more as clearly visible.
Chelsea, I just noticed that we have another question. Let me read this. What delta E values are typically acceptable in commercial printing?
Well, it depends on how color critical your customer is. The brand owners, they tend to have very strict color tolerances, whereas newsprint tends to have much looser color tolerances. Based on our experience, I'd say the delta E between 2 and 3 seems to be what the print industry uses the most.
Yep, sounds right.
Now moving on to another cool feature of the DENS is ink check. Ink check and its companion function ISO check measures density and color and suggests ink key specific density changes to obtain more accurate color. Here in this example, the delta E is 3.4. You can see right where my mouse is. And you can reduce your delta E to 0.8 by increasing the ink density by 11 points. The unit tells you exactly what you need to do on your screen. My personal favorite function of the SpectroDens is pass-fail. It's an easy, efficient method to manage quality control in a production environment. Quality managers establish reference values from direct measurements or from color libraries. Then the quality manager sets allowable color tolerances in terms of delta E. In production, the user only needs to take a quick measurement to determine if the color passes or fails tolerances. If the measurement is within tolerance, you'll see a big green check mark right here on our screen. Or if it's outside the set tolerance, a large red X would be displayed on your screen. So I'd say we passed with flying colors here, Bob, right?
So far, so good. The next feature I want to get into is G7. This has been an extremely popular feature with our SpectroDens unit. We call it Gray Guide. So the SpectroDens is a very valuable on-press quality control tool for printers who are calibrating and maintaining their presses based on the G7 methodology. The G7 Gray Guide feature enables the user to check the printed values against the published G7 aim values, but it also allows a lot of latitude that, if needed, it enables users to have the ability to customize the G7 target values that is specific to their customer requirements. So when selecting the G7 Gray Guide feature, the user is first prompted to measure the paper. This is important because what happens is it will display the LAB value of the paper, but it also will tell you whether the color of the paper falls within the actual specification by doing a check mark for, yep, it's within spec, or X, it's out of specification of ISO or any of the other industry standard paper type tolerances. So after that is done, and you determine whether the substrate's in or out of tolerance, the G7, the SpectroDens starts measuring the 25, 50, 75% CMY gray value patches, and as well as the K black patches. When measuring the 50% CMY patch, the SpectroDens displays specific cyan, magenta, and yellow recommended ink density adjustments to obtain more neutral values according to the G7 specification. This is indicated by this screen here, where basically it's indicating the need to increase the cyan density by 12 points, magenta 17, yellow 23 to obtain the neutral value within specification. What's sort of unique about our G7 Gray Guide mode also is that when a solid color is measured, the SpectroDens recognizes that it's no longer measuring a gray or black patch. And what it displays is the delta E values from the target aim values, and clearly indicates, and again I'm circling with a cursor, whether the color is in or out of the tolerance according to the selected data set.
Hey Bob, it looks like I have a question. It says, if I use the Gray Guide function, does that mean I'm G7 certified?
Nope. Actually, I mean, the SpectroDens is a tool. It does not imply any type of certification, but it does definitely help you attain and monitor your G7 compliance throughout a full press run, which I think is a pretty big tool. We're seeing another question that's coming through. It says, does the unit measure LCH as well as LAB? And the answer to that is yes. As a matter of fact, it does measure LCH. In our color circle feature, it gives you the ability to specify whether you want LCH or just LAB. And another question that's coming in is, can you change the delta E parameters? And the answer is yes. We have a number of different delta E equations that we support, which, delta E 2000, CMC, CLab, 94. So we support a number of different delta E equations. So we'll answer some more questions as we go along. We'll go ahead and want to move along in the presentation.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the scanning function of SpectroDens. While the SpectroDens is primarily a spot measuring device, it is equipped with 4 small wheels, allowing for scanning up to 54 patch color bars. Scanning supports both industry standard color bars as well as your own color bar. The results are viewed on the display as plain measurements or output to industry standard formats or exported to a spreadsheet program. I'm going to show you all a short video of the scanning function with the DENS. Here I actually have Bob demonstrating the scanning function. The new scanning mode uses the tracking wheels on the bottom of the instrument. He's pointing them out to you right now. It enables the user to quickly scan color patches while maintaining perfect scan alignment. On the instrument, you go down and select the media wedge function, much like he's doing. This feature will allow you to go ahead and measure one or multiple row color bars. You align the measuring aperture in front of the first row of color patches. Hold down the green measure button and smoothly draw it across the color bar. As that is completed, go on to the next row and then measure the last row. SpectroDens is displaying the delta E of the printing substrate, primary colors, all of the patches, and the CMY grayscale patches. It's also indicating whether it's within tolerance or not by putting a check mark to say it's within tolerance or a bright red X to say that it's outside of the tolerance. And here is the summary screen. It displays the scanned results of the color bars and easy-to-see graphics. As you can see up close right here, the green check marks means you passed, and the red X means that you did not meet that standard.
And I might add, Chelsea, that all of these, where it's saying whether you passed or failed, that's all configurable, those tolerances, right on the instrument itself, so you can actually set those tolerances.
Great. Thanks, Bob.
So the next feature that we wanted to touch on was the ISO check feature. The ISO check feature quickly scans standard color bars, ISO color bars, and displays the results in both graphic and numeric terms. Like the G7 Gray Guide feature, it starts by measuring the print substrate and indicates whether it is within specified tolerances according to the chosen ISO paper type. And then you scan the actual color bar itself, which displays the the measurement results, the delta E, dot gain, frap values, and it clearly indicates whether the measured values are in or out of tolerance, and if out of tolerance, it quantifies by how much.
Great.
Okay. Sorry about that, a little technical difficulty. Actually, Chelsea made the mistake of giving me the mouse for a second. So I'll let her take back control of the mouse.
Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.
All right, well, our SpectroConnect software is the companion software to the DENS. SpectroConnect is used to manage your color libraries, export measurements to spreadsheets, update firmware, display readings, and much more. Of course, it's included in the case with the DENS, and it's always downloadable from our website.
Okay. Now, there's been a number of enhancements done to the SpectroDens. The SpectroDens is TestCon's flagship product. We are continually innovating and incorporating new features. Recently, we developed a number of new features like the fast and accurate scanning of the color control bars, adherence to the latest ISO standards, whiteness, brightness, opacity. We've done some G7 enhancements incorporating SCCA, and many others, too many to actually list. The nice thing is these new features are offered as a free download to our customers, all from the TestCon USA website.
SpectroDens, it's ready to read density or color almost instantaneously at the touch of that green button. Accuracy is proven over a long history of use, has a large, rich feature set that's very easy to access. Years of press room use have proven its reliability, and best of all, it's very comfortable and easy to use. Well, that about wraps up today's webinar. I hope you found the presented information very useful. And now we're going to open up the floor for all the questions. I see some questions came in actually while we were on the last couple slides. So if you guys have any questions, just submit the questions through your control panel.
Okay. So I see one where it's being asked how many measurements are being taken when reading in M1. Can it read in M1 while scanning in one go? The answer is it's taking one measurement in M1. It is an LED light source, which enables that. As far as like scanning in M1 mode, that's not a problem, whether we're scanning or doing spot check measurements. I hope I've answered that question properly.
Yep. Can custom color bars be scanned, Bob? That looks like it's another question that came in.
And actually, that's a good question. Custom color bars can be scanned. What we've done is you can upload a color library which defines the color bar onto the actual SpectroDens itself. So when you're scanning the color bar, it looks at that library to scan and do some pattern recognition to make sure that what it's scanning is the correct color bar, and you can then take that data and export that data or save that data.
Great.
We're also incorporating some, which will be out actually in the next few weeks, some very specific tools for building custom scans that even enables this functionality even further. It's a very, very powerful function. Let's see, it says, I have a 40-inch press. Do I have to keep the instrument moving at a certain speed or the measurement is void? Well, there's sort of a couple of answers to that, depending on the scan mode you're in. Like, for instance, we have the ISO check scan mode. We have the media wedge scan mode. And it's looking to have a certain speed. If you go too fast, it will actually error out and say, okay, pattern not recognized or out of sequence, which is good. Or if you're going too slow, the same thing. So it won't. If you're doing a predefined scan, it will not miss any of the measurements. There is a raw scan mode that lets you go and just scan color bars that are not defined and just export all that data. And in that case, then what happens is, that if your speed is a little too fast or a little too slow, it may or may not miss a specific patch that you're measuring. So in the predefined scan modes, it's no problem. It will always tell you on the raw mode. You may or may not. You'd want to match up what you're scanning, the results you scan to the patches that you are scanning. So I see another question is, will it support the Idea Alliance ISO 12647-7 color bar? And I am happy to say yes, it does. As a matter of fact, we will be posting the reference library for that color bar, both the 2 and the new 3-row Idea Alliance color bar on our website for you to download and use. And you use that through the media wedge function.
Great.
And that comes on the same. Another question. Someone else asked something similar. How can the Idea Alliance bars be added other than Fogras? And that comes down to we're going to actually post those libraries on our website for you to download. How many spot colors plus CMYK can you measure in scan function? And the answer to that is you can scan. Since they're spectrophotometers, it's all spectral data. We don't really care whether it's processed, CMYK colors or spot colors. At any one color bar, the maximum length amount of patches that you can scan are 54. So that would be the only limiting factor is how many patches you can actually scan. 54. It doesn't matter whether it's a spot or CMYK.
Kind of the same question.
Oh, let's scroll down. Here we go. Give us a second here.
Lots of questions. We like questions.
Yeah. It says, is there numeric dot gain / TVI results along with the graph? And the answer to that would be is that, yeah, I mean, we're capturing that data, and we will show dot gain for the ISO check, for instance. It will tell you, if you have a 25, 50, 75, and you're getting a, 36% of it at your 25, and the, 65 at your 50, and a 92 at your 75. So yes, we are giving you a numeric dot gain measurement result. It is, and I'm having to go through memory here, I think it is using TAPI for brightness. We've got another question, is does it use TAPI for figuring out brightness? And I do believe it is. I'll have to verify that. That's a new feature that we just incorporated, but I'm almost 100% positive it does.
Another question here. It says, is there an upgrade price or program for users that have older models?
Yeah, we're basically, we haven't put a program per se in place. However, we are telling people, give us a call, talk to us about it, and we'll see what we can work out with them.
Yep.
Because obviously we want you to have the latest technology in hand. So please do feel free to contact us and ask for Chelsea or myself, and we can do something about doing some trade-in value for your older model. Another question is, what press sheet size is this device designed for? And the answer is, I'm not sure what exactly the question. I can come back to the 54 patch for scan lengths. Otherwise, it is a handheld Spectral Densitometer that can take however many measurements that you want.
The question here, it says wireless or Bluetooth for SpectroDens?
That's a good question because actually it's wireless. One of the features of the SpectroDens is an optional WLAN wireless communications, and we chose WLAN mainly because, first of all, you get a lot more distance out of it. It's much more robust. And also, Bluetooth in many geographical locations is not allowed. So for all of our devices, and the SpectroDens included now, we use WLAN.
There's another question, too. It says, what color bars are included for scanning in the SpectroDens?
Right now, again, the predefined ISO color bars, the Idea Alliance color bars, the FOGRA, but we are incorporating a new feature for customers to create custom color bars. That, again, the next few weeks we should be seeing that feature.
Can target colors be loaded into the device?
Yes. As a matter of fact, it's very easy to do. Every instrument that is sold comes with a Spectral Connect software that has the ability to import your standard color libraries. So say if you have a Pantone, you can import that Pantone library, and then you can literally upload that library onto the device as for references for measurements. And you can also measure in your own color targets, or you can type in individual specific LAB values. Okay, so yes, scan basically says scans in one go. Yeah, the scans are one. You only need one scan in M1. There's a question that says, how does it measure PMS colors? Again, being a spectrophotometer, it's all spectral data. It really doesn't care what it's measuring. So you can load the Pantone library into reference memory, and if you want to compare a 185C, it's very easy to do. You can set it to automatically search for that closest color, or you just choose that in the reference memory, and it will compare and give you a delta E on that. And, yeah, another question is exporting / save data as CGAT format, M1. And again, regardless of the measuring mode, when you go to export from Spectral Connect, you choose the data you want to measure. You want to export, I'm sorry. So, whether it's color, whether it's spectral data, whether it's what have you, you can virtually, it's all spectrally based, export everything. As far as the format, what you can do is export to like an Excel or another database application that if you need CGAT, you can save in that format. We do not export CGATs directly.
Sorry, I lost your spot.
Yeah, it's okay. And there's another question that says, can custom spot colors be loaded? And the answer to that is yes, either by importing them, measuring them, or manually typing them in.
Oh, we already did that one.
Let's see. You know what I think we're going to end up having to do? There's a lot of scan questions here. I'm almost thinking another webinar with
just on the scanning
would be worth it. We're also willing to, if anybody wants to get with us directly, demonstrate that directly to you. Another question that says, how many measurements are needed to utilize the gray guide at press? The standard G7 is for measuring your quarter, mid, and three-quarter tones. So measuring your 25, 50, and 75% is very typical for G7, and that's what I would suggest as far as trying to hit your neutrals. And obviously, having those across the color bar, not just in one ink key, is a really good idea since, obviously, controlling the amount of ink that's coming out across, say, 32 keys, it's a good idea to have as many 25, 50, 75s across the color bar as you can possibly fit. That's another thing to note about the SpectroDens. It does have an optional 1.5 millimeter aperture, right. So you can measure very small patches.
It says, is it possible to use ink check on Pantone colors?
Not that I'm aware, and I had to think about that for a second. The big thing is that's a matter of being able to increase or decrease density of a specific color to affect the outcome of a color. So right now on InkCheck doing spot colors, it's really geared towards process colors. Just go ahead, we're reading some more questions. Excuse our silence here for a second. One question is here is that how often does the unit need factory recertification calibration? And I've been with Tescon for 6.5 years, Tescon USA, and we specify every 2 years in the manual. However, I can honestly say that we get a lot of instruments in even after 2, 3, 4 years, and most of what we do is we blow it out with a little air and clean it up and send it out. They're very robust, but we suggest every 2 years.
Some of these were covered already.
Yeah. Another one is WLAN an option? The wireless communication, that is an option, purchasable. And by the way, that's customer installable. So if you get a SpectroDens and you want to install that option, you just give us a call and we can send it to you, and the manual tells you step by step how to put the WLAN card in. One of the things I see another question says, are you able to mount these units on a 40-inch Heidelberg to auto scan? And one thing I can say about the SpectroDens is it's not meant to replace a scanning SpectroDensitometer like our Spectral drive or our SpectroJet. It's made for scanning shorter distances. If you wanted to use it on press console to check everything, across all your ink keys, it's not really made to do that. It's made more for a quality assurance tool than that. Another question is Mac or Windows for the software. Currently, our software is all Windows-based, mainly because we focused our products in the press room, which is PC-centric. We don't do a lot in pre-press. So currently Windows is the platform that we utilize for our software. I'm just reading some questions here. Can I go over how to export scan data? You don't have specs on this.
I do. Yeah, you want me to pull
yeah.
it in?
Yeah, I can, very quickly show you how to export scan data. Well, actually, we can't, we're not hooked up to it.
Oh.
For the person who asked that question, I can show you that. But exporting scan data is very easy. As a matter of fact, with a major press manufacturer, they were just using it for doing press checks over in China, as a matter of fact, and exporting all of that data.
I think we should have a webinar on
scanning. I know. Should you do a quick calibration on a standard before taking density readings? My rule of thumb is to at least once a shift do a calibration. Where it's really important for density is that if you change your substrate that you're printing on, so if you go from a coated to a matte stock or an uncoated stock in production, the way the SpectroDens calibrates for density is it does a paper white calibration, which takes measures the paper, keeps that in memory, and then does an absolute white calibration. So what does that do? So when it's taking solid ink density measurements, it's using absolute. But when it hits a tint, what it does is it does measurement minus paper, and it's using that calibration of the paper white calibration to basically do that, that function. So even if you're not changing substrates, I always say rule of thumb is once a shift you should do a calibration. Definitely when you're doing a change in print substrate. Another question is what kind of color libraries does the SpectroDens support? It supports CXF. It supports a number of different formats. I mean, you can import CSV files and create libraries. We're also going to be posting our Chroma QA software, which even in demo mode lets you import and export in MIF, CXF3, a number of different formats. Here's another question that I get quite a bit. Is the aperture wide enough to read low line screen, flexo, corrugated board, 60 to 80 lines per inch? The instrument is shipped with a 3mm aperture, and it does have the ability to measure lower line screens. One of the things, I actually have dealt a lot with corrugated, and one of the things, not due to the line screen, just because of the variability, because of flutes in the corrugated, that I suggest to people is to do an average measurement of multiple measurements. So in other words, you can set the SpectroDens to take 3, 4 plus measurements and in different areas, and it will come up, it will average those measurements into one measured value. And that's what I suggest when you're measuring corrugated. One person did make one point in reference to the Windows versus Macintosh, is that they're using our Spectral plate on a Mac with a virtual machine Parallels. And I can say that we do actually have a lot of customers who are using Parallels, Boot Camp, that runs our Spectral Connect software and other software on a Macintosh. Another question that we have is, do we sell a unit that mounts to an older press for auto scan? That is a definite yes. Actually, we sell a lot of Spectral drives that is an automated unit that mounts directly on the console. And as a matter of fact, we do that a lot, and we have a whole presetting and closed loop solution as well that we have just recently started offering in conjunction with the scanner. So you can do open loop, you can mount the Spectral drive right on the console and scan color bars and adjust ink densities manually, or we have a complete presetting and closed loop solution as well. What was the name of the software that supports exporting in MIF and CXF? That's Chroma QA. We have a software that we sell called Chroma QA. It's both a standalone and a server-based product. But what we're doing is we're going to post it on our website free, and to make it so you have the ability to manage various color and ink libraries that are in the various industry formats like MIF, CXF, CXF3. Even in demo mode, you can download Chroma QA and you can import and export and convert libraries in those different formats. If we haven't posted it yet, we will be very quickly. If you need it immediately, just contact Chelsea and I, and we'll supply you with a link to download that. Let's see, any plans to have an off switch or to be able to use while charging? None that I know of, not currently. I don't know of any plans to do that at this point. It shuts off at a default, if I remember correctly. It goes into sleep mode after, I think, 2 minutes. Another question we're getting is, what is the name of the software that can perform closed loop, and is it compatible with all presses? Well, the name, we call it PressLink. It's based on in conjunction with our products, it's based on a product called PrintFlow. and it's compatible with most of the commercially available presses out there that have consoles that adjust keys. Obviously, manual ink key adjustment wouldn't work too well with closed loop, but virtually all of the presses with consoles it is compatible with.
Mm-hmm. We have a question that says, how long will it last through continuous spot scanning?
Well, how long it will last is, there's sort of two things there. One is spot and one is scanning.
Right.
With spot check measurements, the instrument is rated at a full charge to go up to 10,000 measurements. On scanning, I have no clue. I don't know what the specification is on how long. I'm assuming you're referencing the battery. I'm not sure how long it can scan continuously before the battery needs to be charged. It just has the 54 patch limitation per scan that I asked to pay attention to.
I think that's all the questions. Does anyone else have any other questions that we could address? Well, if there's no more questions, I know Bob and I would like to thank you guys for joining us today. But if you do think of any questions that weren't answered here, or if they come up a little later, just shoot us an email, give us a call, and we'd be happy to get back to you.
Thank you all for your attendance. We very much appreciate it. And I think we are going to put our heads together now and put together a scanning SpectroDens webinar. So thank you and have a nice day.
Thanks, guys.